I think the best way for a city to thrive is through organic urbanism, to treat the city like a garden. I think of organic urbanism as where civilization meets nature. The museums and the vibrancy attracts people to a city, but it's nature that keeps people in a city. And I think the mayor is on the right path, emphasizing parks and trails and nature. As I mentioned, I think backyard trees instead of ADUs, parkway trees, cars not parked along the street. I mean, not too many cars parked along the street. Making our cities, in some ways, more suburban. They're never going to be the typical 1950s suburb, but they can still be an environment where people want to raise families or still live in after their families have left. I think it depends who wins. Either the people that embrace neighborhoods or planners that want density and mass transit. When I say mass transit, I'm not talking about driverless cars. But fixed rail is as out of date as a fixed telephone wire. And yet, one of the reasons planners want density, so they can try to make fixed rail mass transit successful. The planners a few decades ago were saying we need to make Dallas stronger by building bigger roads to the suburbs so the homeowners in the suburbs can come and work downtown in a building. Well, now people don't want to work in a downtown office building anyway. So if our office buildings are going to be less attractive, fixed rail where it takes you 3 hours to get somewhere when you can call Uber or a driverless car or an autonomous helicopter or whatever they have, do you think the future of the city should be based on 18th century fixed rail technology? Or do you think, Uber helicopters and Google this and that, just autonomous cars? And one of the things when I was at Ted and Chris Urmson, we had dinner, and he mentioned that at peak efficiency for a road, when people were moving the most cars down a road, what percentage do you think of the pavement was empty? Peak efficiency, most cars moving down that pipeline. What percentage do you think?
50. Yeah, maybe 40, 30.
95%.
Was that empty?
Yes. So with autonomous vehicles, that maybe gets reduced to 5% or 10%. Things spread out through the whole city. So you don't need you're never going to get the concentration of fixed rail. And then to add more apartments in a city that's not growing in population, and every time you add a renter and lose a homeowner, then it becomes more attractive to renters because they're building more apartments and less attractive to homeowners. And at some point, again, you just become a city that's an urban reservation for renters and rich people. And the area can be booming, and they just dump the stuff in Dallas. So unless Dallas thinks in a way that can preserve the quality of Dallas that's made it, I think, the most successful city in the country, and they can maintain those policies and those attitudes and still make our neighborhoods so attractive and have the vibrancy. So we can have more parks and more trails, and the museums still grow and blossom, and the schools, the private schools, the DISD magnet schools, the public schools, all that keep getting better. Then you have an area that's even nicer than the suburbs. or at least has benefits the suburbs don't have without the detriments. But if you try to make this just an urban experiment that hasn't worked in the last 200 years, then we'll become like every other big city that has failed.